philosophy. Excuse me. So I believe that's what I would say the majority of the cultures are. In Afghanistan specifically is very much a tribal culture. So they have a hierarchy of needs. Like I know you guys are aware of that type of thing, but the family is the first, the tribe is the second, and then your area is kind of the third priority, whether it's a state or whatever. Iraq is much different insofar as it is religiously oriented, and so they will defend by area, by group, based on religious sect and where they fit in with that. So Iraq is much different than what it's like in Afghanistan, and each of the areas in Iraq and or each of the areas in Afghanistan would have their own segues, their own nuances that would not fit the mold of anywhere else. So in Afghanistan, I was on the dividing line between Pakistan and Afghanistan, the northeast part of the country. And so to locals, they saw no border. The border was just a figment of imagination of Westerners. And their families were on both sides, which, as you can imagine, would cause some angst. And, people going back and forth across the border, for example. In Baghdad, we would have blocks that were Christians, we would have blocks that were Sunnis, and we'd have blocks that were Shias. And then we'd have mixed areas. And you had to know what you were doing in each area, because block by block literally would be a completely different subculture. And how you acted and how you drove and how you walked and how you talked and who you looked at and how you carried your weapons had to be different everywhere. So a lot of people don't realize that in the States, but the nuances are phenomenal.
And then how would you describe, returning home? When you were coming back from deployments, how was it coming home? How did you, reacclimate to your family and, the community and everything like that?
Well, yeah, so that's changed a lot over the years. I remember when I came back from Somalia, and Michelle can probably remember that, we were outside and people set off fireworks. And it was instinctual, didn't even think about it, immediately hit the ground. I remember Michelle and the neighbor lady looking at me like, what in the hell's wrong with you? And so, back then we all kind of laughed about it because we didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, I have no idea why I did it. I just, as soon as you heard something, you instinctually reacted. And so it is, they've become much better at that. There's training that they give us, etc. But it is, it took me months driving in Colombia not to look at every roof, every curb, every bridge, your brain is on overload. Just, you get used to it, you know what I mean? And when you come back, it's not like it just dissipates immediately. So it takes a while to kind of get all that worked out.
So it's more safety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of fight or flight thing, and so you get very attuned to what you're looking at. And I told Michelle, it was after my last one. No, wow, I'm getting confused now. I don't remember. It was one of the last ones where I was in Colombia driving out on 277, and don't ask me why I was downtown, but a car in front of me literally had the tire blow out. Like, boom, type thing, and shit flying all over. Well, my ass, I was in full go mode, man. I was on the other side of the road in the median. I was like, whoa! I'm thinking it's a damn idea went off. I had no idea it was just a damn tire. I'm sure people were looking at me like, what in the hell is this lunatic doing? But
Well, I remember one time when you, I think you fell on the floor while you were sleeping. Because you were scared of something.
Could be, I don't know.
And then you used to get like, you'd wake up and like your heart would, remember that? Where your heart was racing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dreams.
Mhm.
That was just because I was thinking of you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been it.
Yeah, that was it.
And then contact with like fellow veterans over the years, or memberships in veteran organizations.
Yeah, so I stay quite engaged with a whole lot of different organizations. So I try to use my background experiences to use larger good. So I'm trying to do more statewide. The governor's just signed off, apparently, that I'm going to be the vice chairman of the military-based task force now, working directly with the chairman. So now that I'm giving up the Midlands area, I'm no longer on the chamber board. I'm giving that up. I'm going to be focused more on statewide initiatives and directives. So able to help folks with employment, looking, business to veteran type initiatives and that type of thing, not necessarily working individual issues so much. Although I do get contacted by folks that we've served together, looking for help or looking for a job or looking for recommendations, that type of thing. So that happens quite a bit.
Cool. And then the last part is reflections, how your experiences in the service changed you, and life lessons that you learned from your military service.
Oh, that's one of them deep thinking ones. So probably I would say, or venture to say, that it's probably always doing more than just for yourself. So you're looking at making impact, making change, looking at greater good. So I'd probably say that's probably the number one thing, that what we do now, always thinking about how what we do, policies, procedures, whatever we put in place, and how that can affect a greater wide net. And I would say that's probably a big distinguishment between the business community writ large and the military. Although we do see a lot of business community trying to bring that in. I told Michelle, just like the lottery, they told me when I first came on, the expectation is you have extracurricular things. We don't want you to be a one-ball juggler. So
She just agreed on that?
Well, all right. Well, that concludes the interview.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No.
And I just had
We're talking
one
about
more
Jonah,
question.
right?
Military